All right, so I got another reaction coming at y'all real quick, man. I saw this video about O'Shea the other day, man, and I really wanted to get my opinion on it because kind of some of the stuff he going into was kind of the reason why I even made a channel in the first place. But let's get into it, man.
And the message reads like this: I'm going to be completely honest. Talking about the red pill in women all the time is a complete waste of time. It means nothing. Personally, I'm going to put all the energy into myself and advancing in both of my careers. I'm not talking about any of that stuff anymore. All my energy is being put into myself and my brand from now on, period. I put a lot of time and energy into my grind and into getting to where I am in life today. So I'd rather put my entire energy in being into myself and really moving forward. So guys,
now, just to, you know what I'm saying, speak on what the brother said in the post, I agree with what the brother talking about. You know what I'm saying? When you just speaking on a particular topic and, you know what I'm saying, ain't really much else being done around that, it is kind of a waste of time. You know what I'm saying? But let's get into what O'Shea talking about.
With that, I decided to make this video. Are black men just tired of the red pill? Now, let me kind of rewind it, Dima, just a little bit. I was talking to my brother Solo TV84 about 6 months ago. And of course, you know, he's doing fairly well in his life. And he had taken some trips. And he talked about the fact that, you know what, man, I understand that women are a certain way. But, bro, I just don't have the same problems that I used to because of the circle that I run in. I just don't have those issues anymore. And I thought that was interesting. And I kind of want to talk to you guys about it. Well, is that what you guys feel? Because really, let me just say this. I think a lot of black men came into the black manosphere community looking to vent their frustrations. And I believe...
Before he get too deep off into that, I kind of want to speak on what the brother said, or Solo TV said. Because this is how I was even introduced to the red pill content, because I didn't even know about the red pill content until like 2020. One of my, you know what I'm saying, one of my brothers put me on to O'Shea and some of the other brothers that was speaking. And the brother was having issues with his wife, you know what I'm saying? But me knowing him and his wife, it started making me question like this just popped up out of nowhere. Like, I've been knowing you for a minute now. Like, she out of nowhere doing this. Like, I don't get that. So I started watching more of the red pill content, and I started realizing, oh, these are the talking points from from these red pill videos. I'm like, I had to explain to him, I'm like, bro, you can't project or put the characteristics of the women that they talking about on your wife. Your wife is not them women, man. Like, you can't just put that on your wife. Like, it's almost like he was watching the content so much, it's almost like he was trying to fit his life into the shit that they were talking about. So almost like his life would be the content. It was weird. I was like, nah, bro, that's not sis. Like, why you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what you got going on at home. That's not it. The women that they talking about is not, no. So I would agree with what Solo TV talking about in terms of he not having no problems because he in a different type of environment. You know what I'm saying? When you moving around and you in different areas of life, the women change, the men change. So it's a lot of the characteristics that you might see gonna be different. You know what I'm saying? The women don't act like that all the time. So that's one of the things that I did notice about the red pill. It's like they talking about a particular, and it's a lot of them. I'm not gonna say it like a lot of our sisters don't do that shit on, you know what I'm saying, on many different levels. But you got to start questioning yourself as well. Like Solo TV said, once he got in a different environment, when he started moving around, things was a little bit different for him. But you know, let's get back into what O'Shea was saying.
Primarily at first, we all were just comparing notes, seeing like, okay, I was raised under this certain circumstance. I was being looked at in this way by people in my community. I was being looked at in this way by my particular family, and I'm, you know, very upset about you know, what has happened to me. And you call that situation red pill rage. And then also we saw a lot of the kind of entitlement era content coming into social media. That started, I would say, roughly around the same time that Kevin Samuels came into power on the network, and just seeing that. And then like you had like the Manosphere Daily Highlights clip channels, you had like a lot of reactions, media tutorials and reviews. Then obviously preceding them was your dating coach communities, you know, your Alan Roger Curry's, your Lucarios, most notably Alpha Male Strategies, guys like that. But then I think that what happened is that the self-development message got lost. And I think that what a lot of times guys didn't listen to the self-improvement message. Now I will say that in the white manosphere community, you do hear a lot of that. You do hear self-improvement, self-development. You hear that also. You hear that also in the black male sectors. But really, what is self-improvement? What is self-development? You keep hearing it. Improve yourself. Improve yourself.
I want to touch on that because that was one of the reasons why I created a channel, was because I was listening to the red pill stuff. And I'm not going to lie, I was bored. I'm like, okay, the stuff that they talking about, I can give some of the details and some of the work that go into that. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, it's content creation ain't as easy as people think it is, but it's so much stuff going on in the world. Sometimes it's hard to hone in on particular things that you might want to speak on. You know what I'm saying? But that self-development thing, he said, what does that look like? Because just to say, you know what I'm saying, develop yourself, you know what I'm saying, develop your character, self-development, that's a broad statement. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, they hear that shit and they tell themselves they're becoming a better person, but they not. Actually, I want to go in the Bible right quick. And this is one of my favorite verses. This is one of my favorite verses. And this is the type of things that I think about when I hear self-development. This is 2 Ezra chapter 14, verse 13. Now therefore set thine house in order and reprove thy people, comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. Because in the Bible, one of the first things you got to do before you start teaching anybody, you got to fix your own issues. You know what I'm saying? Like people, you hear it all the time with the Christians, you know what I'm saying? They say, judge not that ye be not judged. But he wasn't telling you not to judge. He was telling you got to correct yourself first. So all the things that I might get on camera to speak about, or I might get on, you know, say social media to speak about or correct somebody about, I have to make sure I'm not doing that. So everything in the Bible that you might correct somebody on, I have to be making sure I'm aligned with what I'm trying to teach on. So like you see all these, you know what I'm saying, financial gurus and things like that, they would fall up under that category. They got to set their own house in order, because if you being exposed for being a fraud, you fall up under the category of being a hypocrite, and you're not supposed to be that. So I'm gonna read it again. This is 2 Ezra chapter 14, verse 13. Now therefore set thine house in order, because a lot of times it's more like the fans, for real, because you can't really dive into the lives of the people that's putting the content out. A lot of the fans, it's like they hold on to the toxic portion of the red pill content. They want to see women get smashed. At the end of the day, they want to see women get dunked on, as some of the other, you know what I'm saying, brothers like to say. But they not putting themselves in a position to be around better women. They actually not making sure they themselves are better. So you want to see the women get dunked on, but you don't want to be a part of the solution. You just want to see a portion of the problem get smashed on. It is what it is. But he said, now therefore set thine house in order, because you're supposed to be working on yourself first. That's the first order of business. The first order of business is yourself. And that's why I respected Kevin Samuels' content, because you saw him working on the men first. He was working on the men first. All those years he was talking to the men, trying to help brothers improve themselves. And I watched some of them lives, because I didn't come in contact with, my sister actually put me on Kevin Samuels before he got big. And she was like, man, listen to this dude. Listen to some of the stuff he's talking about. And I went back to shit from years ago. I was like, some of the stuff that he was going over, it cut me, because I was like, I ain't never heard this shit before. So I'm like, okay, let me implement that. I like that. I ain't never heard that before, and ain't nobody ever taught me that before. Let me implement that. Okay, damn. I watching whole lives, and he was going in on brothers. I remember he did a video on personal hygiene. Some of that shit he was talking about, I had never heard ever. Like even like stuff about cleaning your nails. I played football my whole life. I ain't never heard nobody ever teach me about cleaning my nails ever. So it's like it was small little details that he was going into where he made it more specific instead of just saying self-improvement. He had the videos to show you this is some of the stuff that goes into self-improvement. But the brothers wasn't doing the self-improvement stuff. They would bypass the content about how he telling men, hey, you need to be working at least 60 hours. You need to be paying all the bills. You need to be boom, 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 boom. He giving you a list of things to improve yourself. But the brothers, they'll stick to the content where he banging on the sisters. But the reason why he's banging on the sisters is because he did the self-improvement. He can sit in that seat and because he did the self-improvement. I can sit in that seat and tell you, hey, as a man who done did the work, you ain't it, sis. Where it's men in the comment section who ain't did nothing. They ain't did none of the shit that he teach. They ain't even in the philosophy or along the lines of you paying all the bills, you working at least 60 hours a week. You ain't doing none of that shit, but you want to see the sisters get banged on. Nigga, he would have been shitting on you as well. And I think that's one of the parts in the red pill space that I think a lot of the brothers get misconstrued. I feel like they kind of start straying off the path because it turned into we just gonna shit on the women. And it is what it is. I feel like it's easy to get into that bag because the women give you the content. And let's be honest, YouTube at this point is about money. If the women getting banged on is making the money, they're going to continue to making the content. It is what it is. But this is one of my favorite verses. You got to set your own house in order first before you start correcting other people. That's one of my favorite joints.
What does that really mean? Right? What does that really mean? I think guys are just kind of saying self-improvement, but what does it really mean? Now, let me just say this. There are myriad of content creators. I think a lot of guys found out that were frauds. I mean, some guys ended up being allegedly married or something like that. Some guys ended up being like not who they say they were and stuff like that. But I think that can be besides the point. I think that what's happening is that you not taking action in your own individual life didn't change your situation.
Right.
And I think this is what guys like Rob Parks and Soul TV 84 and even me, we've noticed that the red pill community is good, but you do have a lot of people in the red pill community who are undesirable. They don't want to work. They're not serious about self-development. You have,
and that's the problem. That's the problem. Cause I done got to a point where when certain people bring up Kevin Samuels, I know it's about to be some bullshit. I know it is because I know for a fact that you not weighing both sides of it. You not, when you bring up Kevin Samuels, you not weighing yourself against the things that he was teaching for the men. So if you gonna get into the bag of banging on the sisters that's not falling in the lines of what Kevin Samuels said, a woman need to be, you need to go back. You got to revert back and go get the teaching. You need to go back and get back into the bag of what was Kevin telling the men to do before they stepped to the sisters. Don't just say, oh yeah, Kevin Samuels was right because of this, and this. When shit, Kevin said that if you ain't willing to pay all the bills, you shouldn't be dealing with no woman. If you ain't willing to do this, and this, you shouldn't even be in a woman's face. That's what Kevin was saying. So if you're not in that bag, why are you bringing up Kevin Samuels? Because you're not dealing with everything that he taught. And I see that all the time. I see on social media, you see it all the time. You're like, I know this dude ain't who Kevin Samuels was talking about. Now, I tell people all the time, Kevin Samuels wasn't advocating for high value men. They look at me like I'm stupid as hell. Kevin Samuels was advocating for regular dudes. He was advocating for the middle class, the lower class cats, the dude that's hard working, but his job ain't as, how would I say, as I say, presentable to the women as the women would like. But he was going in for the brothers that wasn't high value because the women was skipping over them, trying to get to the high value dudes, and the high value dudes didn't want them in the first place. But you know, it is what it is. But in that space, when Kevin is teaching on those things, if you are one of those dudes, you still should be trying to build yourself up to a certain level that you can still be respected. And I think that's what a lot of brothers was missing, where you might be in the middle class, but your character still ain't where it needed to be respected. Who you are as a person. At the end of the day, you just a regular nigga that nobody like. So I understand that a lot of brothers, they get in these bags where they want to bag on the sisters, but you still got to work on yourself first. Period. Actually, let's go back into the Bible real quick. This is another one of my favorite verses. This is Psalm chapter 119 and verse 59. I thought on my ways and turned my feet unto thy testimonies. I made haste and delayed not to keep thy commandments. And why did I go here? Because one of the main issues with men and women is self-evaluation. We struggle with self-examination. We have a strong desire to look at what other people are doing, but it's hard for us to look at ourselves and be like, okay, I'm doing this wrong. I need to fix this. I'm not really who I'm supposed to be right here. I need to fix that. Let me read it again. Verse 59. I thought on my ways. So he said, I thought on my ways. I'm not worried about what everybody else is doing. I'm not looking at what everybody else is doing. I work on myself first. I'm thinking about what I do first. And turn my feet unto thy testimony, because I'm a Bible dude. You know what I'm saying? I always tell people that. Because a lot of times, when I speak, people think I'm red pill. I'm not. A lot of the red pill talking points are biblical talking points. They just don't know it's Bible. So I'm a Bible nigga. At the end of the day, I'm a Bible dude. So with me, if I'm thinking on my ways, if I'm trying to evaluate myself, I got to be in line with the Bible. So that's what I do. I think on what I'm doing, and I go to the Bible to see what's going on. I turn my feet to the testimony. Verse 60. I made haste and delayed not to keep thy commandments. Because they go back into what O'Shea was just saying. He was like, he feel like the brothers be lazy. They don't really want to work. And that's the problem. He said, I made haste and delayed not. Because when you start when you get into when you find some information, right? Because mediocre tutorials and reviews do the same thing. He teach some great information, but it's just like reading the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The brother said, what's the point of reading a book if you're not going to do what the book say? What's the point of watching the videos if you're not going to take in the small little details of what he talking about? I remember the first time I saw mediocre tutorials and reviews. He was talking about stocks. I opened a Webull account. I had never really had anybody talking to me about stocks, but I'm like, okay, the brother, you know, he showed how he had bought a ETF. I'm like, okay, let me check into this. I opened up an account and I started buying some stocks that I like. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, ain't no point of watching the content if you're not gonna actually improve on yourself. I'm not finna watch this stuff just to watch women get banged on. I got my own wife. My wife don't be doing half the shit that be going on in the manosphere, what they be talking about. My wife don't do that. We Bible people. My wife trying to adhere to the code of the Bible. So I'm not, a lot of this shit I don't really have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But as a Bible cat, I can teach on both sides of the fence because I'm working to fix myself as well. All the things that I touch on, I already fixed them myself. It is what it is. So just read it one more time. I said, I thought on my ways and turned my feet unto thy testimonies. You need to be worried about you first. Before you start getting into the other things that's going on, worry about you first. And some of the brothers that I be coming in contact with on my day-to-day, some of my friends, I tell them all the time, hey man, leave these sisters alone, man. You are not built up enough to deal with the shit that go on amongst men and women. You just not. It is what it is. Going back.
A lot of content creators who just, they don't care about that, and they don't care about their subscribers developing. This is the issue. But what I found out is, as I've developed myself more, moved up more in the business, moved up more in doing things and improving the ability of what the company can do, what I want to do in my own personal life, I just don't face the same issues that I did, let's say circa like 2014 or 2013. I just don't have to deal with it anymore, right? I think that's the situation here. I think a lot of changing your habits and looking at where you want to be is going to help you in the red pill community. Now, it's good to listen to the content and it's good to understand what you're facing.
Right.
But ultimately, You are responsible for your outcome. And there are a lot of people who want to blame women for everything, and then you're not developing.
And I'm gonna stop it right there. Y'all can go watch that whole video on your own. But I'm gonna actually get what he just said out the Bible. Because I feel like, and I say this all the time to the brothers, you know what I'm saying, they wanna complain to me about how shitty women are. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of the things I had to learn in my own marriage cause I'm not gonna lie, when I first started off in marriage, it was difficult for me because me understanding the scriptures, I kept on going to the scriptures about her and not about myself. I understood the scriptures about myself, but I wasn't stacking myself up and like, okay, am I doing this right? Okay, damn, am I doing this? Okay, what about, no, I wasn't doing that for myself, but I was looking at her like, nah, you ain't doing this, you ain't doing this, you ain't doing that. But that ain't how I go. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 26 and verse 23. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord. Now, this one of those verses where you got to really examine yourself, because God telling you, if you are a shitty person, you not finna get a good person. So if you gotta really examine yourself, because God said, if you wicked, you gonna get wicked. So if you in a space where you feel like your woman is horrible, if you in a space where you feel like, man, she just ain't it, you got to really examine yourself, because I'm gonna read it again. He said, a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man. So when this clicked in my mind, it's probably like a year and a half into my marriage. Before I would check her, before I would say anything to her, the thing that I was about to check her on, I would examine myself about that shit first. And that my household changed, because a couple times when I was about to get onto her, I started realizing like, damn, I do that too. I was doing that to my superiors. I was doing this in certain situations, even growing up. I used to do this to my mom. I used to do this to my dad. So I fixed that shit on myself first. So I would basically give her grace, be patient. Like, I'm not gonna get on her right now on that until I fix it myself. Until I fix it, I can't say nothing to her about that. So that's one. Let's go get another one. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 18, verse 20. He said, before judgment, examine thyself, and in the day of visitation, thou shalt find mercy. Because it's easy for most people to look outside of other people and be like, okay, you doing this, you doing that, you doing this. But he said, before judgment, examine yourself. So before I say anything to you, I need to be saying, damn, do I do that? Do I struggle with that? Before I say something to you, do I do that shit? And if you examine yourself properly and you don't come back and you do that, get a correction. But a lot of dudes, they don't want to do that. These women ain't shit, and it is what it is. I say it all the time on my videos. Men and women ain't shit, but this the problem. Who gonna do the work to be better? Who gonna put the work in to be better? I tell it all the time. You got to fix your character flaws. All the other shit, we can get to that. We can get to the fun shit, but your character flaws has been your problem since you was little. Fix your character flaws. And I tell my sister this all the time. Character flaws in the Bible is illegal. One of your character flaws might be you a liar. The Bible say lying is an abomination. So okay, you got some red pill cats. They get into that bag of not really disclosing all information. Not disclosing information is a lie, period. That's a bad character flaw you need to get out of. It be small little details and stuff like that that make the red pill kind of hard to watch from time to time. But this one of them things, man, that I noticed about the red pill, and one of the things that made me want to make a channel. Watching different content, I'm like, I don't know about that shit. And it was like, okay, I haven't seen anybody talking from the perspective that I would come from a laid back type of setting. So I was like, let me make a channel. You know what I'm saying? I might not get as many views, but somebody gonna listen. So it is what it is, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. I'm out.